Have you ever come across an idea so massive, so incredibly ambitious, it would literally take a lifetime to unpack? Well, today we're diving into an amazing story from the world of academia, a 50-year quest to build an entirely new field of philosophy from the ground up. And at the very core of this whole thing is a huge, and I mean huge, question. Is it possible for a single idea, a single framework, to finally bridge the gap between two of the most powerful forces in human history, objective science and spiritual faith? Our story kicks off way back in 1990 at the University of Adelaide in Australia. A student walks into the philosophy department with a proposal that claimed, yes, it can be done. And the name of this project was Philselfology. I mean, the name kind of gives it away, right? Philosophy and the self. It was designed to be a practical philosophy. So not just something to debate in a lecture hall, but a real tool you could use. Its goal? To connect the hard principles of physics with spiritual ideas, specifically an Eastern tradition known as the science of sound. Okay, so let's get into this origin story. Because how does an idea this big even get started inside a formal university? It all began with one person, a student, Harminder Singh, who was really inspired by his own interests and his father's deep love of philosophy. He goes to the head of the philosophy department, a Professor John, and says he doesn't just want to study philosophy, he wants to create a whole new branch of it. And you might think he'd get laughed out of the office, right? But no. According to the source material, Professor John was so amazed. He apparently gave a deep and welcoming smile and told the student to go for it, to pursue this new subject right there at the university. You know, that one moment of encouragement was basically the spark that lit the whole fuse. But, as you know, in the world of academia, passion and a friendly smile will only get you so far. A little while later, a new department head, Professor Gill, came in, and while he saw the potential, he also gave them a serious reality check. He's the one who laid out just how monumental this task was really going to be. And here it is. This is the number that just sets the scale for this entire story. Professor Gill basically said, look, if you want to claim that philosophy can be this bridge between science and religion, it's going to take, and this is a direct quote, about 15 research books and 25 to 30 years of research work. Whoa. This wasn't a school project anymore. This was a life's work. So what do you do when you're faced with a 30-year challenge? How do you even begin to plan something like that? Let's take a look at the actual roadmap. Now, Professor Gill laid out a 30-year plan, which is already staggering, but the researcher's total commitment, from the earliest ideas rattling around in his head to the final projected output, actually spanned 50 years. 50. Half a century dedicated to a single line of thought. It's just incredible. And that 30-year academic plan, it was broken down into these really clear phases. The first 15 years, that was for grinding out those 15 foundational books that Professor Gill talked about. Then, the next 5 years were for publishing individual research papers. After that, a shift into teamwork and collaboration. And finally, a 5-year wrap-up period to pull it all together. This was a marathon, meticulously planned out in stages. Okay, so what was all this work about? What are the actual ideas that were being explored for all those decades? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. So at the heart of Philselfology is this formula, which tries to solve a classic puzzle. You've got O, which stands for hard determinism. That's kind of the scientific view, that the universe is like clockwork, and every event is predetermined by what came before. But then you add IA, which represents soft determinism, or the idea that we still have free will and can make real choices. The whole goal is to create E, a single theory that says, yes, the laws of the universe are fixed, and yes, our feeling of freedom is also real. It's trying to unify two ideas that seem totally contradictory. So how do you build that bridge scientifically? Well, a key tool here is cymatics. This is the actual study of visible sound. You know, when you see vibrations creating these beautiful geometric patterns in sand on a plate or in water, that's cymatics. The research treats this as a hard, physical, observable phenomenon. And here it is. This is the bridge The physics of cymatics, seeing sound create patterns, is linked to an Eastern spiritual tradition called Shabbat. Shabbat is basically the idea that the entire universe is created and sustained by a divine vibration or sound. So when cymatics shows us a physical pattern literally being created by sound waves, Philselfology says, look, that's a scientific demonstration of a deeper spiritual truth. It's a physical echo of a cosmic creative force. This is all really fascinating stuff, for sure, but the ultimate goal was never just to write books for a library shelf. The ambition was way, way bigger. So how could a field like this actually change the way we all learn? Right, this is the end game we're talking about. This wasn't just research for the sake of research. It was about forging a totally new vision for education itself. And this vision started getting some serious traction at a high level. The university's Deputy Vice-Chancellor at the time, Professor Medlin, actually gave the thesis work credits and distinction. He saw how it could be directly applied to a course they already had called Physics, Human and Society. He got the interdisciplinary power of. And Professor Medlin's words here, they really capture the grand vision. He saw this project as a real path for incorporating the best and the greater contributions from Asian and Eastern civilizations right into the heart of Western academics. It was about building a genuine bridge between East and West. And this slide really lays out the practical goals beautifully. The hope was to create whole new degrees, like a Bachelor of Science in Philselfology. Imagine being able to formally combine subjects like science, art, and philosophy in your degree, which is often so hard to do. And the biggest goal of all? To use this unified thinking to help create a foundation for global citizenship. So this incredible 50-year quest to build a bridge between science and spirituality, it kind of leaves us with one last big thought. In our world, which is so focused on quick results and instant gratification, what's the real value of a slow, deep, 50-year-long dedication to one single unifying idea? It really makes you wonder, what is the true purpose of our search for knowledge anyway?